There is an odd phenomenon that occurs in the upper reaches of the car world, specifically the luxury SUV world. There's a very select few that claim that they're the best of both worlds. The rough, undulating bits, as well as the smooth, pristine bits. My question is, does anyone really want that? No doubt, there could be a need for it. Take this car for example. This is the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Now, in its previous iterations, it's been known and heralded as a proper, hardcore, rip-roaring off-roader that somewhat doubles as a luxurious SUV. Now, so far, the former has been very, very true. The latter, not so much, no. There's a reason the word Jeep doesn't conjure up feelings of opulence or luxury. That said, they are trying to change that with this. And I think they are onto something. The Grand Cherokee looks the bit, that's for sure. Slim LEDs at the front and rear wrap around a form factor that's tried and tested, sure, but is nevertheless pretty pleasing to the eye. This one runs on 20-inch wheels, which fits the profile pretty well, but it's on the inside where Jeep surprises you the most. There is such a leap in terms of fit and finish, design, and just overall premiumness that I was actually a little taken aback the first time I saw it. There's a strong emphasis placed on screens, which you can see by the way of the digital instrument cluster, the 10.1-inch central touchscreen, and even the display for the passenger. The interesting bit is that the passenger display gets a privacy filter, so you could totally catch up on your media whilst the driver is blissfully unaware of exactly what you're watching. Fun addition, that. Back here, there is a decent amount of space. I like the fact that the seat is set a little bit high, so thigh support is not a problem at all. It's not really a cavernous place to be in, but at the same time, it is good enough. What is worth writing home about though is the space at the back. That is a whole 1076 liters. Last I checked, that's a fair amount of space. What I also really like is the fact that the loading lip isn't set too high, so access to the boot is, well, pretty accessible. But it's on the move that the Grand Cherokee really surprises you. The one you get abroad leans slightly more on the tech side, but what we get here in India is a lot simpler. There's a 2-liter turbo petrol powering it that makes 270 horsepower and 400 Nm. Power assigned to all four wheels via an 8-speed automatic gearbox. Those output figures sound adequate, and they are in all honesty. This is no scorcher, far from it actually. But then again, that's not what Jeep was going for. Where this engine shines is in the mid-range. Anything above that and it sounds loud and strained, like so. Anything under that and there's a noticeable amount of turbo lag that you have to deal with. Moral of the story, short shift. How do you do that? With the paddle shifters right here. And the best part is that they work well enough, but the not so good part is that there are some buttons directly underneath it, and there's no other way to say this, but whenever you're in a hurry and trying to shift, they get in the way. Now these are multi-function buttons which trigger a lot of things on your infotainment, but I don't know why the placement of this is quite curious. But where it surprises you, like I said earlier, is in just how light it feels. This car, simply by the look of it, should have been hefty, and that should have directly translated into the driving experience, but it doesn't. The steering is nice and direct, it even weighs up nicely as the speeds rise. The ride is a bit on the firmer side, but man does it take care of our roads really well. Bumps and undulations are swept aside with incredible nonchalance, and the handling too is quite predictable. That may not sound like much, but given the context of a big SUV, that's quite a compliment. The luxury quotient of this SUV then, with its lovely cabin, good looks and impressive dynamics, is ticked off. Now, I would have loved dearly to have chuck the Grand Cherokee off the road and see what it's made of. Despite the fact that I know it's going to be really good, it is a Jeep after all, and also the fact that I'm not too fond of off-roading myself. But because of a curious mix of, well, a paucity of time and just an inability to find a good enough location within that much time, we're going to give this a skip just for today. Nonetheless, this Jeep is packing heavy. Independent front and rear suspension, check. Full-time four-wheel drive, check. Jeep's select terrain system with a bunch of drive modes, check. What was I expecting? Not too much, honestly. Yes, this is a Jeep, a brand famed for its off-roaders, but when you're trying to do a balancing act of on-road and off-road, things tend to go either way, or for that matter, just wrong most of the times. This will easily smother most rough terrains. Of that, I have no doubt, and there will be an episode on this channel in the not too distant future that will showcase that exclusively. The fact of the matter is that Jeep has taken the game significantly forward with the new Grand Cherokee. It was known as a brutal off-roader, but now it's just a pretty damn good car overall, even on regular roads. And Jeep deserves a pat on the back for that. Thanks for watching. This is Forbes India Momentum. I'm Ronak, and I'll see you again soon with this one and a lot of muck and grind.